Video's over. That's it. Thanks for watching. From this point on, no new information will be learned. What the rest of the video is the story as it unfolded of how I got my turbo set up to where it is now. It's one of those cast iron top mounts off eBay. You know, I've always wanted a top mount manifold, but I don't have top mount manifold money. Oh, yes, of course. eBay. You're always gonna come through for me. $150. About the same as what the Hiroshima hairdryer was. But this time, we're gonna go with something a little bit different. Something name brand. What? I know. Yeah, it's unheard of, right? You see, I buy a lot of cheap knockoff stuff off eBay, and I get a lot of shit for it. But now that I'm older, I stopped caring. And not because as you get older you care less and you don't seek external validation. Oh, no. It's because as you get older, you get invited to funerals and weddings. And for the first time in your life, you realize that everybody is forced to wear a suit, but not everybody can afford a suit. So Oscar, the illegal Mexican construction worker that, he does drywall and makes about $450 a week, with his ridiculous pullout game has 4 mouths to feed. He doesn't just have a $750 suit laying around. Benjamin does. He nets $87,000 a year above the table without a nagging wife in sight to tell him how to allocate funds. He also has 2 investment properties, and he has disposable income. So of course he got the real $963 Armani full suit with the silk tie. You then ask your friend, wow, look at Benjamin. He's sitting next to Oscar. I'm sure he can tell that he got that suit down at the discount mall with Abdul for $72 after saying no to the 3 for $120 deal. For all the shit Benjamin talks, he sure is quiet about Oscar's $7 Walmart tie. Why isn't he giving Oscar any shit for his choice of being cheap on buying a suit? The friend leans over and then says, well, it's kind of an unspoken and agreed upon thing at funerals that even though some of us are well off and winning in life and others are having a rough go at it financially, you bring a suit. It doesn't matter the quality. It can fall apart on your way home. You won't get made fun of. Out of respect for the dead. We're all here to mourn and remember them, not rag on each other's choices of suit. It was grafting this idea onto racing and the car community that led me down a series of eBay purchases. But that doesn't mean things are gonna work out. It was a shit manifold. The holes were off. They didn't line up. And the casting had imperfections. It's like it was a bad casting. And the flange itself was super thick. It's like you had to replace the studs to be able to get it to fit. And I wasn't the only one, because I came across this other video on YouTube of a guy who experienced the same thing. And after kind of seeing the shit he went through, I'm like, damn, I guess I'm not the only one. I put the top manifold aside, and I went with a regular log manifold. This was a common setup. I think it's made so that you can run your AC with it. I'm not sure. I run my turbo's hot side on the passenger side and the cold side on the driver's side. This presented an all too familiar downpipe radiator clearance issue. I ended up making a dump pipe. An ugly one, but it worked good for a few weeks before I decided to go a different direction. At the 1 foot point is the center section of the turbo, but yet here and here we got it lined up. That's about the angle that we need. Goes perfectly down, and it goes about a foot. A foot is actually good. Could probably go 1 foot 3 inches. We have about 4 full inches before we touch radiator. And the center section, if it could. Unfortunately, because I don't have a welder at home, this is how I'm forced to make my downpipe. Piece by piece by piece by piece by piece by piece and piece. And here I have the other pieces. Now it looks ugly, but it's going to be wrapped with heat shield, so you won't be able to see the ugliness. But the idea is, with a Sharpie, I will write down, I will order them like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, whatever. And I would write lines. Like, for example, that's A, this one's B, and I drew 3 lines to know that that's the orientation it goes. Same thing with this. Now, I put a line under the C, which is supposed to let you know that that's down. So this is like that. And when I put it, it's supposed to go there. Not here, not here, because obviously, depending on how you turn it, it'll dictate the, you know, the angle. So at home, I test fit it. Once it's all like kind of mocked up, I draw lines through it, and then I come and I tack them. And I just make sure that when I do write a number or a letter, I write the line under it so I don't accidentally end up doing this, which I have before and have fucked up. Because it's upside down, basically. And how would you know? Oh yeah, C, yeah, A, B, C. But nope, it goes like this. And then you have D, which then goes lined up here. Then you have E, which goes here. Yeah. A 1-hour job, spaced out over the course of a whole week. Yep, patience, man, patience. Since it was taking me a long time to get my downpipe done, I started to put my intercooler piping on. There are holes under the original bumper that can be drilled out bigger to use as mounting points for your intercooler. Most eBay intercoolers have places on top or bottom for this. The problem with this is that you have a hard time seeing the actual hole. This is where touching with your eyes and seeing with your hands comes in handy. Something every boy is eventually taught by his dad early on when the conversations of girls come up. The mounting at the bottom is taken care of by some cheap mount brackets that I got at Lowe's. Next, I installed a 1000cc injector. I asked for the dead times from the person I got them from, and he provided them, and I just put them into my S300. Fast forward about a month, and I'm getting real tired of my dump pipe. It's too close to my radiator, and it's ugly, and it's loud. And because of this extreme bend, it's hard to get one of the bolts on to tighten it up. I really want to run a V-band, but see, this is where the problem started. There isn't enough room to really run a V-band and do that extreme bend. As it sits, it's okay. From the cold side, we see that we have space in the front. This is where the drain line goes. The back is okay. We have space here, even though this is where it flares out to a 3-inch, we're good. This is where the bolt is that I'm having troubles with putting it on. These are fine, but this one is really impossible, especially with the exhaust wrap. Placing the V-band thing on the turbo, we see that there's even less space now. I have 90-degree elbows. If we're placing them directly off the turbo with a flange, we'd be okay. But that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get this thing on there with the V-band. Even with a more aggressive angle, I still can't clear it. The radiator's in the way. One can get the radiator and put it like this, and sideways a little bit and relocate it. Yeah, can't move any more to the left. But no, because this isn't a fucking CRX, it's an EG. I should be able to properly boost it with a traditional downpipe routing without having to take a page out of the radiator downpipe Kama Sutra for Hondas. I started to look at images on Google for ideas. I looked at top mounts and even bottom mounts with the hot side on the driver's side. Even came across a manifold that was similar to mine, but not really. Everything was pointing to flipping the turbo around. With the hot side now on the driver's side, we see that two well-placed 90-degree elbows, and we're starting to look good. On the cold side, though, we have to grind a bit of the block off to get the turbo to fit, and even then we're still too close. This is a saw blade. This is about the thickness of a credit card. You can barely get this thing in. It goes in, but it's really tight. Now, follow me here. I need to get this turbo to come away from the block. The mounting point is at an angle, and I have all this excess thread to work with. If I can get a T3 flange and mount it between the turbo and the manifold, let's say 3/8 inch thick, I think that'll work. And that's what I did. But it didn't really do much. You see, here it is with the flange, here it is without. With and without. It's more in the bottom corner of the engine code block versus next to it. We put the charge pipe on and we start to visualize how things are gonna go. Okay, so the downpipe is like this, and it's going to go through here. The drain line looks like it'll be in the way. Okay, let's put it on. Okay, so the drain line is on, and it is definitely in the way. And I need one of those 90 degrees, so it's out of the way of the downpipe. The 90-degree fitting was ordered and received, but in the few days it took to get to me, my friend Joel convinced me to go back to the top mount. You know that thing that a dude does when he goes down a road and, he's committed and he's, super headstrong about his decision and, he's so confident he'll fight you if you question his ways, obstacle after obstacle, he finds a way around it. At a certain point in his head, he realizes he might have gone down the wrong path, but, he'll force it to work because abandoning ship at this point and going the other way is admitting that you were wrong all along and that his friends and casual observers were right. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I don't have that. I'm just trying to get my car done, not jerk myself off. So I abandoned everything and I shifted focus to the top mount. The flange being too thick was easily solved. I didn't go crazy with it. I'm not an animal. Come on now. Another problem I had was the turbo being physically too big. It was so big that I had to cut out a piece of the radiator core support. But the good news is that I wasn't going to be using that big Nagasaki noisy noodle anymore. I'm now going to use a smaller Garrett T3. With some editing and camera placement wizardry, here we can see what it looks like with the Ching Chong Spoolie Boy, and now with the Garrett. Again, Wu-Tang War Whistle, Garrett T3. Kung Pao Piston Ring Poppers, Garrett T3. The Garrett is obviously a straight T3 turbo, the other one's a T3 T4. So here we have the Garrett T4, Garrett T4, Garrett T4, Garrett T4, Garrett T4, Garrett T4. You get it now. Next on the list of problems was the drain line coming off the turbo. If we look, it's a very, very tight squeeze. It has to be a 45-degree angle, and your turbo has to be clocked a certain way, and it helps if the drain is a straight AN fitting, none of that pipe thread adaptation bullshit. We're off to a good start, but the line is too short. I reuse the fittings and make another one. We go from 7 inches to 11 inches of braided line. The top is easy, by the way. The line's already there. I just cut the zippy ties and, take the plug off. To make all this work, I got 2 3-inch 90-degree stainless steel elbows, 1 2-foot 3-inch 45-degree stainless steel pipe, 2 V-bands, a test pipe, and an 8-inch flexible piece. With all this, I filled in the gap from turbo to exhaust. I get my 45-degree pipe and I mark it with a Sharpie. The idea is that I need the 45 part with the straight piece to come off the 90-degree elbow. I put the 45 in and I turn it to the desired routing, and then I mark it with the Sharpie. Then I tack it to the test fit.
Yeah, that's ooh, that's perfect.
So far, so good. We do have a certain amount of play because we have a V-band. We want to leave enough between the manifold and downpipe so that we can properly wrap it. But at the same time, we want to stay away from the radiator. For the rest, we get the test pipe and cut off one of the ends. From this, we go up to a 3-inch from the flex pipe. I didn't have a proper reducer, so I made something work. I went to Home Depot and rented that little flux core welder they got. I'm not a big fan of this welder, but in a pinch, you gotta make things work. So far, let's take a quick look at this. We got the test pipe, the makeshift adapter I made and had to fill in with a lot of welding, the flex pipe itself, and this straight piece. This is the extra piece from our 45 that we cut earlier. And this is Kevin. He's helping me with all of this. This is Joel. He too was helping me. So at the bottom here, we just need that other 90-degree elbow and the V-band. The whole purpose behind this is I want to be able to take off my downpipe with ease and slap on the 90-degree hood exit. I go back and forth a few times between installing and making the marks with the Sharpie and then cutting and welding. Okay, ahí va. At the end, it all bolted up and now the car has a turbo. Next thing on the list is to wrap the downpipe and make some sort of bracket to, reinforce the whole thing. Even though it's a cast iron manifold and I have a flex pipe, I'd feel better if I have a bracket.